Even more stubbornly, she had insisted on heading out into the blinding snowstorm to make it to work that day, even though 21 inches of snow would fall on the area. That night, she was returning home from a full day at the Saks counter. Think about that. My mother, after being a homemaker for 30 years, had taken a job to fight the effects of inflation, even though she was 57 years old and wore a wig to hide the effects of chemo. She still went out there every day and took care of things on her own. True grit. I wish she would have asked me for a little help, but that just wasn't her way. When clients are behind in retirement savings and ask me what they can do to catch up, some will balk when I advise taking a second or even a third job. My own mother got a job while battling cancer. Don't tell me it can't be done. My mother passed 2 months later. It hit me hard and still hurts. Soon after, it occurred to me that, while she had died before inflation could lay waste to an even bigger chunk of her life savings, what about millions of retirees who live far longer? What will happen to their accounts? Devastation may be the answer for many of them, even those with blue-chip branded wealth advisors. From that moment forward, whenever I thought about how clueless Wall Street was on COLA and risk, I would recall the frightened look on my mom's face as she asked me to reassure her. Am I okay? Is this going to be all right? Nobody should have to feel that insecure and vulnerable. I vowed to find a better answer, and as I began to develop the CHIP score, she was always at the forefront of my mind. There were many other Loises in the world, just as frightened as my mother, not knowing what they should do and being led astray by an industry that pretended it could help them. In the ensuing years, I researched inflation and pored over academic studies and articles on the real increase in the cost of living. The research on the late pollster Albert Sindlinger, who claimed to have coined the term consumer confidence, surprised and alarmed me. He had asked consumers the same 4 questions about their economic outlook every year since 1955, compiling a household money supply index that measured household liquidity. A New York Times profile of Sindlinger, published a year before my mother's death, said, "One striking result of his polling is that consumers almost invariably find inflation higher than is shown by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. His own cost of living index now shows an annual rate of increase of about 8.25%, after being between 9 and 10% much of the year. These rates are 3 to 5 times the increases shown by the Labor Department's Consumer Price Index." My research also led me to economist Walter J. John Williams and his website on CPI chicanery and inflation, shadowstats.com. He has said the intentional skewing of CPI has deprived Social Security recipients of fully half of what they otherwise would be receiving if their COLA increases matched the real rise in prices that has been going on for 20 or 30 years. A couple of years after I left Morgan Stanley, I opened my own firm, Chapwood Investments. A few months in, I reached out to Williams to ask about his research, and we struck up a correspondence. We have chatted a few dozen times in the ensuing years, mostly by phone. Early on, I brought up the need for separate COLA indexes, depending on location. Costs in New York City rise 10% a year, but go up only 3% in Taos, New Mexico. The biggest reason for that difference is taxes. Taxflation, as I called it. Higher taxes in New York create higher prices for everything, and the bite they take out of people's pockets adds up over the years. So do the lost opportunities, in terms of what other necessities that money might have purchased if it hadn't been collected in taxes. Yet the government's CPI doesn't take into account the differences in state and local tax rates in various places and their impact on spending behavior, just as it gives short shrift to another big factor in your personal cost of living, the high costs of health care. Toward this end, I lobbied Williams to do a thorough city-by-city survey of real prices. "Mr. Williams," I told him, "you need to do COLA per city. You are missing a really important element."